Welcome to another episode of Truth Is. This is episode 12. I'm your host, Ivan Vincent. I want to go over a couple of things about socialism and explain to you, these young liberals, why socialism doesn't work. This has already been proven, and I'll get into that in just a minute. You know, one of the first things I always hear socialists say is that no one ever did it the right way. When they talk about Venezuela or all these other countries, first off, and then they mention like Denmark, Sweden. Actually, both of those countries have told certain people in our own government to stop calling them socialist countries because they're not. They tried it for a while, they gave it up, and they still have some of their health care, their taxes are high because of it. I just want to show you something real quick. I see my camera does this little weird thing where it doesn't focus on what's behind me at all. So here's the thing. Socialism has been proven to be a failure. It doesn't work. And where these liberals get this idea in their head, and I even heard somebody on the right say this a while back, because why don't they just print more money? They can't just print more money. And I'm gonna explain this to you, and I got a little, excuse the way I have to do this, because I have a cookie sheet and I'm using the bottom of it for this, because I don't have a actual chalkboard. So I'm gonna explain this to you here, okay? Let's just say, for instance, you want to make money and make it, worth something, right? So you can't just print money, okay? You can't just print this money, you can't just print money. A $1 bill here, let's just say this is $1, right? You can't just print it. If I was just to print a piece of money, first off, I would go to jail for counterfeiting, is what they call it, okay? Second off, that money isn't worth anything. I may as well just go in there in the Monopoly board and pull out a piece of paper and hand it to you. Now, I have to explain this to liberals all the time, that money has no value. It's only the value that we've placed on it. Okay, so let's do this again. I should have brought my eraser in here. Okay, let's just say this is a piece of gold. Okay, this is a piece of gold. Okay, everything's backwards according to what I'm seeing is backwards. Okay, this is a piece of gold. Okay, let's say that this is a $10 bill, and this piece of gold down here is worth $100. Now, back in the day, it kept you from having to cut off a $10 chunk of gold. $10 chunk of gold. $10. You know what I'm saying? Divided into. If it was a $100 piece of gold, you had to divide it into 10 pieces, $10 pieces. So it was easier to just have money to say, okay, this is worth this much of this gold. You see, this is worth this much of this gold, right? So the question then is, where do you think there's a separation that they can just start printing this without this? So what happens? Let's just say that, for instance, this piece of gold was only worth $10. Okay, and it's a $10 piece of gold, and here's your 10, and they say, well, we're going to print another one. We're going to print another $10 bill here on the same piece of gold. So now you're getting half of the value, see? So and when they keep doing it and they keep doing it, and what happens is the value of your dollars go down. So the more they print, the less the ones that already exist are going to be worth. So I have to explain this over and over again. You can't just keep printing money on the same piece of gold. You have to produce more gold. And see, where people get disconnected here is our production. Whether you're working for a pie company and you divide a pie into 8 pieces. Okay, this pie, each piece is worth $1. See, so you got $8 here. So I can give you $1, but when you print more money, and your dollar is based on this piece of pie being worth $1, and then you keep printing more money, so then those pieces of pie start getting smaller. So that's where you get your shrinkflation too, as well. You hear people saying shrinkflation because they can't sell you the same piece of pie for the same dollar when the dollar is worth less. So I keep having to explain this, and people don't gather this. You can't print money out of thin air. This is what the Federal Reserve Bank did. And you think they did it on accident? Think again. They've never done it on accident. It's their plan. Okay. And I'll put in some clips here. With Thomas Jefferson, some things Thomas Jefferson said. Whenever you let people run your currency who don't have any obligation to you, that's why our dollar should have been based according to the actual Constitution. The current American dollar is actually illegal. What you don't understand, it is against the law, because this country is supposed to print its own money for its own people, interest free. And when JFK pointed this out, what did they do? They killed him. He said, when there was a plan to enslave mankind. Well, it's been going on for longer than you think. Now, some people talk about this 1871. There was a kind of a sort of, really, it was kind of a coup against the American people, where they turned America into a corporation. But the real problem began through a couple of other things that happened after that. 1913, they established the Federal Reserve Bank, which was Rothschild. And let's just forget the year before this happened. Okay, in 1912, there was 3 very wealthy men who were the wealthiest men in America. They opposed a Federal Reserve Bank in the United States of America. Their names were Isidor Straus, Benjamin Guggenheim, and John Jacob Astor. Okay, they opposed a bank. Strange that they all 3 ended up being on the Titanic the year before, and then the next year here comes the Federal Reserve Bank. I'm not gonna do that conspiracy theory, but I honestly, if I believe, sorry, I almost lost my stand here. I got my stand shifted around a little bit the wrong way here. I honestly believe that they had a lot to do with it. I believe that there was something there. And if we go back in history, and we'll go back, and before I get back to the socialist thing, one more thing. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, he joined the Freemasons several years before his death, and when he started realizing what they were, he actually formed a secret group called Die Gerade. which he wanted to work a counter plan against the Freemasons' plan, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the early stages. And you're talking 1792 when he died. But after he formed the group De Grade, it wasn't a few years later that he wrote a letter to his family and said he was in fear for his life. So these people have been around longer than you think. And the banks, the Rothschild family, the way they got their money is there's a dirty story behind what they did with Napoleon and how they got their fortune, and there's videos about that. I'll point one out. It's called the. Here, just give me 1 second, and I'll pull up this name, and I'll tell you the name of the video. Maybe I'll post a link for it as well. The Collapse of the American Dream, is that the name of it? Yeah, that's it. The Collapse of the American Dream. It's about a half an hour long documentary, and it's animated. But they explain the whole thing about how Napoleon, the Red Shield, they call him the Red Shield. They pulled the bull hockey kind of move and bought out the whole European stock market for pennies on the dollar. Because they all thought the stock market collapsed because they thought Napoleon won because they lied to him. That's how bad the Rothschild family is. They lied to the people. The stock market dropped as like nothing. They bought up all the stocks for pennies, and then when they realized that Napoleon had actually lost, the stock market went back up and made the Rothschilds the richest family. And I guess it's at that time probably the richest family in the world. So we're gonna get back to one other thing now. Rush Limbaugh did a true story, the true story of Thanksgiving. We're talking about the Mayflower, and this is what I wanted to get back for the socialists. That when they signed the Mayflower Compact, they made some deal with the people, before they came over here. They couldn't just take some ships and take the people and leave. They had to make it. They made a deal that they, if we get whatever we get, we're going to send you X amount of dollars or whatever, right? So the deal was now that everyone that was on the Mayflower got an equal share of everything. Okay. Now you don't know the story. A lot of people died that were on the Mayflower before they really got established, and a lot of people died right here in America once they got here. So. The point is what they did was they established this village or this town, and everybody got an equal share of everything. So what happened was that there were people who were working and going out and plowing the field and planting tobacco or corn or whatever they were growing, and they were producing everything that they had. See? Actually, I don't think they had corn yet. I think the Indians gave that to them later. Maize and tobacco actually came from the Indians. But anyway, Native Americans. Excuse me, I'm part Native American, so I could say that. Anyway, they kept going. And certain people, were just sitting there. They weren't collecting like a fair share, and they weren't doing anything. And so the people who were working were getting tired of being the only ones working, and they said, you know what, forget it. We'll just sit back too. We'll just sit back and not do anything, right? And what happened? William Bradford had to get rid of the Mayflower Compact and said, look, everybody, you get your own share of land. You get a piece of land. You get a piece of land. You get a piece of land. Now you get whatever you produce. After that, it became the first free market capitalist society in the world, and it was successful, and the people were getting wealthy. So that's when the boom started happening, and the people started coming from Europe and coming here with the hopes that they would, become successful, and build a booming, business. You know what I mean? So this idea in your head that you're going to get. The government doesn't produce anything. And now you've seen what I've explained to you about the money. They can print money, but that money has no value. You see, it's what you did. It's what you worked for. It was either the piece of gold that you dug up, or the potato that you dug out of your field, or the corn. That value, that gave that dollar value. Without your work, without you saying, okay, I agree that your dollar is worth my ear of corn. Without you saying that, the dollar isn't worth a damn thing. It's not worth anything. It's a piece of paper with ink on it. Is it really your potatoes? Is it really your corn? No, it's a piece of paper with ink on it. Okay? And the more this notion that people have, you don't understand how they did this, okay? What they did was they weren't going to just let you use their dollar for free. That's their dollar. So they have to have interest. So this is the process they began to sell you out, okay? To sell you out. Now you think liberal, dummy, wake up. They give you their dollar. They're charging you interest on your dollar. They have to make that money somewhere. So eventually what happens is that your work becomes too expensive for that dollar for them to get their money without you noticing it, right? So what they do is they start outsourcing your jobs to people overseas. And those people can work cheaper, see? They work for pennies on the dollar. And then they're making even more money. See, they're coming back and selling you this cheaper product for that same dollar, so it doesn't look like it costs you any more. But they're using inferior products. China is terrible. They're using inferior products, and I'm going to tell you this, and that's why I hate Walmart. I went in Walmart one day and got some wood screws. I came home and tried to turn them, and the heads just kept twisting right off of them. I couldn't screw them into wood. I had to actually drill the wood out real good, even to get them to tighten up in there without popping the screw apart. They used pot metal, but yet they fined GE this years ago for doing the same thing, for using inferior screws and stuff. They fined General Electric over that. But now Walmart is selling that on their shelves, and you don't hear anything about it. You take one of these screws and pop, comes right apart. The screws, they're useless. They're worthless. And you don't even want to know about the shoes I bought there. They're terrible. I bought a pair of shoes there. And back in the day, back in the early 90s, I was working as a chef for some restaurants, and we cleaned the floors really good every night. And we actually put Tide and bleach and everything on the floors to keep our floors were spotless. You could almost eat off our floors, right? We scrubbed them every night, and I had the same pair of Avia shoes for over almost 2 years. Through that, I go up here to this Walmart and I buy the nicest pair of Avias they had. They didn't last a month before the soles fell off of them. They wore right through the soles. Completely trash. Everything they sell at Walmart is trash. Outside of some of your little things like Hanes t-shirts or socks or something like that that's made by American companies still. A lot of the stuff they sell there is complete trash. It is. It's completely garbage. And they're part of the whole problem with America, because they're paying China for this crap they're selling here, and they have no standards for them to say, hey, look, you can't sell us these screws. They break when you try to use them. No, Walmart's shit too. So screw Walmart. Just like Joe Biden, you know. But they're fine folks. Yeah, sure they are. They sell us lead paint on our products, sell us screws that break off, toxins in our foods, or toxins, whatever they're using. They're fine people, Joe. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm part Chinese, so don't even give me this. I have this crazy family tree. I don't care what country you're from. If you're selling somebody something that's bad and you're making money off of it, you're a criminal. And that's the end of the story, in my opinion. So, Again, go back, look at the Mayflower Compact, go to Rush Limbaugh, watch The True Story of Thanksgiving. Watch it, listen to what he says, okay? Your government cannot give you everything for free, okay, liberal? They can't. What do they do? They're sitting in Congress. Are they out there making your car to give to you? No, somebody else has to make that car. So what do you think they're going to do once it get to the point where you try to turn this country socialist? They're going to force you to make the stuff that you're giving away to somebody else for free. And guess what? They're not going to give it to you free. So you're still losing. They're not going to hand it over to you. Anytime a government has transitioned from being a free country to a communist or socialist, the government takes control of everything. Do you think they're going to give it back to you? Really? Venezuela. One word. Okay. They're not going to give it back to you. That's the bane of man is that we always know that absolute power corrupts. Just like they said, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's the problem. You can't the government can't make everything for you. They can't make your iPads and your iPhones and all of that. They can't. They're not gonna. And what makes you think that once you're sitting there they're just gonna send you a check every month for doing nothing? Do you really think they're gonna do that? Do you really think that they're gonna pay you for nothing? No. They're going to enslave you, just like Joe Biden said, except it's them that's doing it because they're the ones that are going to enslave you. They're going to turn you into slaves. They're going to say, you're going to work and you're going to make this, and he's going to make that, and she's going to make this, and he's going to make that, and you're going to give it to us, and we're going to sell it to you when we want to at whatever cost we want to. You see, you're not going to be in control of anything. You really think capitalism is bad? You're out of your mind. Capitalism isn't bad. It's the people who take advantage of it sometimes. But there are people who are capitalists who are good, who are trying to make things right, who do say, you know what, I'm going to give a little bit back to my people. When they work good, I'm going to pay them good. I'm going to treat them right. I'm going to give them this and that. But forcing them to is socialism. And what happens is that never ends well. Okay? And when you start yelling about them taxing the rich, you're out of your mind. Trump changed the tax to where there were certain loopholes that allowed rich people to keep their money overseas and untaxed, and Trump closed it. So they had to bring all that money back, and then Trump was taxing them on it. And what you all live in denial of is that the year he passed that the rich paid $16 billion more in taxes. And the poor, like us, the bottom 99% us, we paid almost $90 billion less. Not more, less. You think Trump's the one who wants to say, oh, tax the rich? Joe Biden's lying in your face. He's saying he's taxing the rich. Why, he opened those loopholes back up and allows his rich friends to keep his money, their money overseas, untaxed. He's lying in your face, and then he hires 87,000 more IRS agents to do what? To come after you. If you've made any mistakes, they're going to come after you, making under $400,000 a year, even less. They don't care. They're going to squeeze because they figure they could probably get way more out of you than their billionaires. And you think these billionaires aren't more numerous than the Republicans? You're out of your mind. All the Rothschilds and all them, they're all Democrat. And really, the truth is, you know what Democrat socialist is? It's a Nazi. Democrat socialism is Nazi. All these globalists are Nazis. They're not going to give you anything. You're going to work for them, and you're going to be quiet, and you're going to own nothing, and you're going to say nothing. And that's Klaus Schwab's own words. You know what I'm saying? You think the WEF is good? No. Screw the WEF. Screw the UN. Screw NATO. and screw Joe Biden. And I'm going to tell you something. When you all wake up and you realize this is our world, ours, whether you agree with us, and I don't, let me set something straight right here. My uncle was gay. I loved my uncle. I didn't agree, but that's not my place. I don't have to agree or disagree with him. It's not my place to dictate his life. He didn't put his business on me, and I didn't put my business on him. We kept ourselves, okay, but he was still part of my family, and I still love my uncle, and I still missed him when he died. It doesn't mean there's this big thing. Y'all make this issue where you're trying to shove this stuff down our throat and leave the kids alone. The kids don't know anything, and I'm going to tell you that now. I grew up as a kid. I remember my childhood. We never thought about any of this stuff. Y'all are putting this stuff in these kids' heads. We never thought about any of it. Okay, so I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say nothing else about that because I don't want to get myself, and I don't want this deal getting taken out. But you can't. We are just off. We're all free right now, and if you keep pushing, what you're going to do is you're going to push us into a dictatorship. And you think that Trump is the dictator? Why is Biden the one arresting his only opponents? He's trying to have them all arrested, and they keep doing it over and over again. It's not like it's not obvious now. Okay, Trump never did that to them. Who did Trump have arrested? Any? Can you name one? No, because he didn't sit and tell his department, hey, arrest this person, arrest this person, arrest this person. He didn't do that. So you're all kind of living in denial on that. And you got to wake up. Okay? We're not trying to force you into this thing. And, I'm not going to get into the abortion. That's another video. Every person on this earth has the right to be free and decide what their life is going to go like. And when you have people dictating how that's going to work, and the problem is what you're in denial about is the very people that are screwing your life up now are the same ones who are trying to get you to screw it up more. Okay, the Democrats are not your friend. Okay, they never have been. This country was started as a republic. It always has been a republic. You doubt me? Read Article 4, Section 4. What's the first line? That our government shall guarantee every state a republican form of government. This is not a democracy. Stop saying that. Democracy has always now and always has been one step from socialism, and then socialism is one step from communism. They're the same thing. The only difference is in a communist country, they don't tell you anymore, oh, it's yours, we're going to give it to you. They just say, no, now it's ours, At least the socialists, or not the socialists, but at least the communists tell you the truth. The socialists are lying to you in your face because the government, once they have it, they're not giving it back to you. So really, they're just communists with a lie. That's what's really happening. So you need to wake up. There is no free ride. We all have to work. The thing is get up and go do something. Try to find something you like to do, and then stop pointing your finger at other people because your life hasn't worked out. I don't even want to go into my story. You can go back and look at some of my videos, all this stuff, and I've always worked my whole life, and things haven't turned out the way I wanted them to. And this stuff about privilege, again, it's a big lie. I grew up very poor. I didn't have anything handed to me at all my whole life. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. Things have been taken from me, and I'm not even getting into that story in this video. And I could play the victim card better than anybody, because trust me, if I told you my story, you'd be sick. And my mother and us, when we were kids, I was so poor, I lived next to the project, and I was poorer than the kids who lived in the project. Again, I told this many times in every video, and I did, and I was. We had at times to go to bed without dinner. We had to decide whether we're going to keep our heat on and not freeze to death, or whether we're going to have food on the table. So Unless you've been in that position, you don't know anything, okay? And white privilege is a myth, okay? Sorry, it's a myth, and I can prove that to you. Matter of fact, here, I'll post this up. Now, again, look at it, read it. We don't have all of that. So, if we don't have it, where's our privilege at? Just the word? Is it just the word privilege? Is that a special something? No? Okay. Again, saying something because you said it doesn't make it true. Like saying Trump was indicted is like you think that's a statement that it's a crime. To be actually charged with a crime is the crime. If you're found guilty of committing that crime, that's the crime. Being indicted is not a crime in itself. They're proving that right now in the Supreme Court, and I don't know if you've been watching, but you're losing, okay? Because Trump didn't ever tell anyone to go and do anything wrong that day. It was a free speech. Speech is free. And even then, you wanna talk about what was within his scope of what they can call a presidential action, right? Well, what is a presidential act, huh? What is a presidential act? Can you define that for me? Come on, tell me what a presidential act is. Okay, making a speech and not saying nothing. He didn't say go take over. And furthermore, let me straighten out one other thing. If he was fomenting a coup, as you kind of claim, an insurrection, he was the president. Who was he cooing, himself? No. The objection, that was the only thing that got cooed. And it's kind of convenient for you all that the objection to the Maricopa County our Arizona electors got swept under the rug because of this sudden insurrection that popped up unarmed on top of that. Again, in no time in history has there been anyone who fomented an insurrection against their government unarmed. It's never happened. Not successfully. Sure, I'm going to go over to Mao Zedong. Hey, I'm taking over your country. Just let me do it. Yeah, how do you think that's going to work out for me? You're stupid, bro. If you believe that, hit the road, man, because you're stupid. Because you're dumb. There's no way in the world anyone would let you just walk in and take over a country who is the most powerful country on earth. But God forbid you question the United States and steal away from their victim mentality on January 6th. It was worse than 9/11 and it was worse than Pearl Harbor. And right. Bullshit. My grandfather was in Pearl Harbor. My grandfather got a Purple Heart for Pearl Harbor. Y'all need to quit lying. Quit lying to yourself. Quit lying. Nothing ain't for free. Nothing is free. And if it was, why am I sitting here disabled and going bankrupt? Because SS screwed me on a technicality. But they're giving the money that I paid into this country my whole life. They're giving it to people who are walking in here. Just walking in. Here, have some of Troy's money. Here, you can have some too. Here, you want some? Here, you want some more of my money? Here. While I'm sitting here going bankrupt because I can't get my SS because of a technicality. You think you know something, dummy? Listen, liberal. You need to wake up. They're not going to give you nothing for free. And if you think that you have something to offer to the New World Order, which is what you're helping to bring in, you're wrong. You're not one of them. You're not an elite. And if you did manage to get rid of all of us somehow, which I don't believe you're going to be able to do, because honestly, I think we outnumber you by a lot more than they're telling the truth about. And if you did manage to get rid of us, your days will be numbered, because you'll be next, because you don't have anything to offer and you're expendable too. Just to let you know. Anyway, I'm off of here, and you all have a good day, and remember, nothing is free. Take care. One more quick note. I'm still struggling. If anyone can help, I have a Give, Send, Go and a GoFundMe. The same ones across multiple platforms. And somebody tried to dog me and make me look like I was trying to scam people. I'm not. I am actually broke. I'm bankrupt. I've had to cash out things that me and my wife owned to keep myself from becoming or going under. And just about all of my utilities are getting behind. I'm not gonna be able to keep doing these very much longer because of it. I have to sell the condo I live in and move. And you know, I've got my books up on eBay. Not eBay, but sorry again, I said that last time. I have them on Amazon. Book of Dracula and Book of Dracula 2, The Hidden. I have my Time Upon Time book. I'm on the last chapter. I'm just like the last few pages, and then I got to proofread it. So it'll be out in the next week or two. I'm hoping next week it'll be out. And if you can buy my books, I know they're a little expensive because I don't set the prices for digital. Their books go out through Barnes & Noble, Rakuten, Kobo, several other ones, and I think even the libraries and stuff. So I don't set the prices on Draft to Digital at all. I set them at Amazon. I have to set them where they're at now, because if I set them lower, literally, if my books all of a sudden became popular and I set the price too low at Amazon, and they charge a certain percentage, and there's still the printing cost. So if I set the price too low, I could owe like $1 or $2 for every book that I sell. And if 1 million copies sold, I'd be millions of dollars in debt. So there's no way for me to get my books and get the algorithm that's on me. I think the Ministry of Truth has had it on me since 2014. Whether you think there still is one or not, they've had me under an algorithm on every platform I've been on. Even when I was on Twitter, when I was banned in 2019, I had at one point almost 30,000. They started taking thousands of my followers away, and my numbers started going way down. They got me down to 12,000, and I kept adding more people. Then suddenly they just banned me permanently. And they lied about what they did. They said I was targeting certain groups. So the problem is I always went on to conservatives, Donald Trump's, or Tommy Lahrens, or Clint Eastwood, or James Woods, or Albert Guillory, and I'd always be talking to patriots, and these trolls would come in, and I'd destroy them, absolutely. And I think that's what made them mad, because I was too efficient at destroying them. The truth always has a way to do that. Anyway. As the Bible says, the truth withstands the test of time, but lies are soon exposed. So anyway, you all take care. If you can help, please, I'll put links up again to my Give, Send, Go, to my books. If you can help one way or another, that would be appreciated. And I appreciate you watching my channel. Please share and subscribe. Thank you.